Adirondacks early. Adirondacks. Hello, my name is Paulina. Welcome to Paulina Enchanted, and today we are talking about the Fae. I love fairies. I want to talk about 3 fairy encounters that I found on Reddit. But before I get to that, by the way, there's so many fairy encounters online. It's so interesting. If you have your own experience, please let me know in the comments below, because it's very interesting. I love learning. I think we've all had different types of spiritual experiences and all of that. So before we get to that, let me actually show you this really, really cool book. So it is the Fairy Handbook. It's very cute. It's a compendium of literature, lore, art, recipes, and projects. It's very cute. I actually have a huge fairy book collection, and I made a video. I'll make sure to link it in the cards above if you want to check that out. But this is one of the books. I love the Fae, but just, my favorite story is Alice in Wonderland. I love Alice in Wonderland. If you love the Fae or Alice in Wonderland or other similar stories, please let me know in the comments below. So before we get started, oh, look how beautiful this is. Oh, wow, look how gorgeous. I just love coming back to this book. It has so many beautiful pictures and stories. It's just stunning. So I wanted to read part of the Bridges portion of this, so you can learn a little bit more about the Fae. I actually just really like it. It says, bridges are enticing to fairies who are fascinated by the in-between, existing on land nor on water. Bridges are spaces in of themselves as well as places of transition. I think the Fae likes places of transition. A lot of the lore that I have read has to do maybe between when the sun is setting or the sun is rising, the transition between day or night. A bridge would be a type of transition. And then of course we have the crossroads. The crossroads also, they have other Christian depictions too. But some people say that they see Fae, they see the fairies at the crossroads. There's just so many really cool things about the lore of the Fae, if you're a believer or not. In Ireland, there's a lot of people who are believers. Some people believe that they are elemental or natural nature spirits. There's just so many beliefs behind them and so much lore and religion. It's a very interesting topic to dive in. You'll see that the spelling is different. This one is spelled like this, right? Because this one has F-A, this one's spelled like this. Let me focus it. F-A-E-R-I-E, because this one has to do with actual sightings and actual encounters. But then you have the storybook spelling, which is the F-A-I-R-Y, which is just more like Peter Pan fairies, which is still very cute, which I love. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the Reddit fairy encounter stories. Drum roll, please. Here we go. The name is kind of funny. The first one is written by Smokin' Joe 65. Hello, everyone. I've had a bit of experience with the paranormal, so I would say I'm open to these types of things. I've always felt a strong energy in nature, and I believe there are nature spirits, fairies, etc. that inhabit the land just outside of our normal perception. I'll share one encounter or see if anyone has experienced anything similar. My girlfriend and I are both open to metaphysical possibilities. We went on a 2-day camping trip in the Adirondacks early. Adirondacks. I'm gonna write that down. Adirondacks early in the season. Hiked out. It's gonna be what? the thing is gonna be Adirondacks. What? The little emoji. Adirondacks early in the season. hiked out 5 miles to our scheduled campsite on a lake, and enjoyed a day of hiking and 2 nights of tent life. I told her I was open to any great experiences we could possibly have out there, and I mentioned my interest in nature spirits. We went to bed with the sun on the first night. I'm not sure of the time, but I woke up in the dark, no moon out, to see a red light at our feet. I thought it was a power indicator light on something electronic, but I remembered we didn't bring anything like that, so I sat up to investigate. As I sat up, the light started to dip lower, as if it was going to dip down into the earth. I could see the stuff in our tent clearly from the light source, which made me certain I wasn't imagining it. It was far too dark to be able to dig through the stuff at our feet without light. The light dimmed and vanished, so I laid down to figure out what it could have been. The first thing that came to mind was fairies. I was open to seeing them. One decided to pay us a visit. It was incredibly wonderful. I couldn't wait to tell my partner in the morning. Has anyone else seen this type of thing? I'm more than willing to accept the idea that they're just energy, like a ball of light, instead of the tiny winged people that we see in the movies. Thanks. See, that one was very sweet. It seemed like a positive encounter. I think if you have that energy field around you, if you're like exuding positive and loving energy, that's the type of experience that you will attract. In my experiences, that's what I've experienced. Whatever your energy, your vibration is the type of paranormal experiences you'll attract. So I would say try to keep a positive mindset, a positive emotions and feelings if you're opening that aspect of yourself. Okay, so let's do the number 2. So this one is written by Shad Mirror, and the title is Am I the Only One? Let's find out. Happened back on the 27th of December 2019, between 1745 and 1800. I live in the UK, but I'm of primarily Irish heritage on my father's side, and my family has been living in the locale for roughly 4 generations. Anyways, there's a hill I had to walk up after work to get to my home from the station, and at the top there's 2 Victorian lampposts. The lamppost closer to me, I could see a figure struggling to climb it. At first, I thought it was a rat. Short-sighted, wasn't wearing glasses, and I got further and further up. It started to look more and more humanoid. I'm in shock at this moment, and a bunch of correlations come into my head. Then it rests on fairy. I laughed at it due to the absurdity, and I literally shouted, "Go yourself, you fairy," because I was just in disbelief. 2 seconds later, this clap bang explosion goes off at the back of my head, and it knocks me to the ground. I just started running and get the out of there. Had no bumps or injuries on the back of my head, and the sheer force of it just unexplainable. I honestly would have shrugged off the event if it wasn't for that. I've posted it here to see if I'm either incredibly lucky I got out of that alive and unscathed, or there's other undocumented stories like this. If you have one, please tell me. That was funny, but I could see that he was a little disrespectful to the fae, so I see why it went a little sour at the end. Okay, let's continue. So the third encounter. Okay, this one is made by a user called Snogbox. I have a super vivid memory from when I was really young, like 6 to 8. I lived on Long Island, and my parents took me and my little brother to the beach all the time. I grew up around oceans and water, so my parents trusted me to run around the shore without too much supervision, as long as I didn't swim where I couldn't touch the bottom. I remember I was collecting shells and rocks on the bay while my mom was feeding my little brother, and I climbed around these huge brown rocks that were halfway in the water. There was a boy who looked about a little older than me sitting in the middle of the rocks. I didn't really think it was weird because I was like 7, and I just asked him what he was doing. He didn't say anything, but he smiled and picked up a few shells from the water and put them in my bucket. When he came more into the light, he looked super pale, almost light blue, and his hair looked like green, clumpy seaweed. His eyes were huge and black, but I was taught it's rude to comment on what people look like, so I didn't say anything. I just hopped off the rocks into the shallow water, but he followed me. He said something to me, but it wasn't in English. He just kept going into the deeper water and bringing me cool shells. My mom called for me to leave, and I said bye to the kid and thanks for the shells, and I walked up the shore to my mom. I told her about the boy, but she said she didn't see anyone, even though she was watching me. I don't know. I did have a pretty active imagination as a kid, but I remember this so vividly. I'm really into mythology now as an adult, and can't help to think that maybe he was some sort of water fairy or mer person or something. Or maybe just a weird boy who was good at swimming and needed a hairbrush. My mom not seeing him could mean that I imagined him, or that whole thing about fairies only letting children see them. Okay, that one was a sweet story too. It looked like he was a child and he had a really nice and happy encounter. He says he remembers it very vividly, so it doesn't necessarily feel like it was imagined. It was a long time ago, but it was a very vivid memory, which is very sweet. If you have any encounters with the Fae or any paranormal encounters, please let me know in the comments below. I'm always so interested. I love reading these type of encounters, and maybe you'll be featured in my next video if it's really substantial. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe, and keep spreading the positivity. I'm sending you love, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye. Have a great day. Early in the, they'll put it with the face. Yeah. Early in the season.